Hi, welcome to Believe, a Ted Lasso podcast. I'm Julian.
And I'm Tom. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. We are Team Binge. If you're looking for season 2 of Ted Lasso, you're not going to find it here tonight. Tom and I decided to do kind of a palate cleanser between season 1 and season 2. We really enjoyed season 1, so we wanted to go back and just kind of recap some of the stuff that we talked about, some of our favorite moments. So you could call this Ted Lasso 1.11.
Could I?
You could. Or you could call it Ted Lasso 2.0.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because the next one would be 2.1. I see what you're trying to do.
I am doing it successfully. Thank you. This is me trying to think about how I'm going to post this and what numbers I'm going to put behind it.
Just call it a season 1 recap episode. It doesn't have to have a number.
You've obviously never listened to our podcast. All our podcasts have numbers, and we're not going to break theme now. I think I may have to remember not to turn to look at you because of the microphone, but that's just a little bit behind us podcasters in our world.
So you're keeping all this in, right? You're not going to edit that?
I will
piece?
not edit any mistakes for this one. This
Okay.
is a bonus episode. All right, so what we're going to go to is talk about just some favorite stuff from season 1. So we hope you'll join us. First question. So, Tom, of season 1, Ted Lasso, what was your favorite episode?
It's a great question, Julian. I appreciate you asking that.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I think from going back and looking at the episode list, I think there was a lot of gems. I think my favorite had to be Two Aces. I think the introduction of Danny Rojas was fantastic. The haunted treatment room, also fantastic gags. This is where we got the famous or infamous Ted Practice rant with Jamie in the locker room.
Okay, the Allen Iverson rant, sure.
Yeah, kind of the reboot, which took me by surprise at first, but was a lot of fun.
What number is this?
I have no idea.
Okay.
4, maybe?
No, I think it's deeper than that. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, yeah, you look it up. We had kind of the sacrifices everybody had to do with kind of that team bonding event. This is when Jamie finally turned and seemingly was that domino to kind of fall over. We get the amazing Cindy Crawford reference of Higgins' cat.
A moment of silence for Cindy Crawford. And we're back.
Okay, we're back.
The arms of the angels.
Yes, and then of course we had some amazing Schadenfreude, which I had. It was funny in the episode. It was more funny when we recorded it.
Yes, no, that sometimes happens. It was episode 6.
6. That's
So,
close. Plus
yeah.
or minus 2.
No. I appreciated that episode as well. I think the gag of the place being haunted and all of them having to bring something and speak. That's probably one of the episodes where you meet more of the team.
Yes.
Like, because you meet, like, some of them, they're in the background, but that's probably...
It was Jamie, Roy, Sam were kind of the main guys.
Right.
And then, like, I called Isaac and I still am blanking on the other guy's name that were kind of like Jamie's cronies.
Colin,
yeah. Like, they didn't really get much screen time. And then we got to know them a little bit more and some of the other ancillary characters on the team. But, yeah, just an all-around fantastic, fun episode. Introduction of our boy Danny Rojas, Football is Life, was just great because it was kind of getting, not necessarily stale, but I think they needed another big personality on the team. So that was great.
No, I like that episode. Good. My favorite episode is episode 3, Trent Krim the Independent. I love Trent Krim. I love everything about Trent Krim. I hope they do a spin-off show about Trent Krim. I hope it goes 7 seasons in a movie. Trent Krim is where we bring Nate into the fold. Nate gives the idea to do the trick play, essentially, where Jamie's a decoy, which upsets Jamie, delights Roy. We see that dynamic. We get the back and forth about the picture headlines with Keeley and Ted.
Oh, yes.
Lasso creates fiasco. Paso, you can't underestimate the power of rhyming in this country. We get not necessarily introduction, but he goes into more depth about Ted's philosophy on it's not about wins and losses. It's about, making these guys better young men than they were before. Everyone gets a book in this episode,
That's right.
Which is great. Jamie throws his in the trash and Roy actually reads his, which is a lot of fun. And then they go to the school, and watching Roy interact with children
Mm-hmm.
and just be mean to them is great. And then the dinner scene in itself, dealing with Trent getting to learn about Ted, and then the callback of Ted going to the restaurant of the cab driver.
Mm-hmm.
Like you understand, like Ted cares about people. He cares about Trent, and Trent, who is a cynic. And maybe I like this scene or this episode so much because I'm a cynic and I see a lot of myself in Trent.
Yeah.
And then Trent getting won over by Ted made it my favorite episode. One of my favorite jokes is when Rebecca says, "I talked to the owner of the Sun," and Ted goes,
You talked
"You
to
talked
God?
to God?" Yeah, one of my favorites. So that episode 3, definitely my favorite episode. And as I was looking through these, did you have like runners up, or was it pretty clean cut what your favorite was?
No, there were definitely some other ones that kind of stood out. I think.
Did you find it was more towards the beginning of the season or like later episodes? Because I find, and maybe it's because since I've introduced this show to people,
Mm-hmm.
I have watched the like front half of the season probably more than the back half. I
Yeah.
find most of my favorites are within that first like 5 episode
Well, I think that the pilot's always tough because there's a lot of
introduction.
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of work that the show has to do to get us in. I think yeah, episode 2, 3, kind of getting you set up. I was surprised your favorite episode wasn't the Michelle divorce episode. I thought that might be up on your list.
yeah. No, it was a close. It was probably in the top 10.
Top 10. But yeah, I think episode 3 was fantastic, the Trent Crim, because it allows you to, like, I think the audience in general is kind of skeptical almost of Ted and like why he is so honest and open and optimistic.
Sure.
And having Trent Crim kind of come in there as kind of like an outsider and diving in. And when Trent writes that article at the end, which I love the way they kind of do that, he's reading the article while we're kind of cutting from different scenes. Really kind of tells you a lot about how Ted is able to rub off on people, and he
Sure.
certainly did for Trent. But yeah, I liked. I think I probably liked maybe mid-season where they're kind of like setting up the dynamics. I think a lot of the Jamie and Roy stuff, whenever they're kind of going at it, is such a fun time.
Like at the dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I considered the For the Children, Tom. I considered For the Children for the children.
But ultimately decided, nah.
No. I'm doing this for me, not the children.
For us.
Those little
well,
punks.
maybe for me.
Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, any interaction between them, and that's part of the part I liked about the Trent Grimm episode is when Roy does the evaluating what the funniest thing he's ever seen is, and it's Jamie being upset that he's used as a decoy during the play. Let us know what your guys' favorite episode is. We probably should have somehow involved audience participation in this discussion, but we care about you, but not enough to send out some sort of poll or something.
Listen, that's on them. They've had our Twitter handle. They've had our email for a while. They could have reached out.
And they knew we were doing all these categories.
We didn't know we were doing the categories, but they could have.
They should have read our minds.
They should have.
I agree, Tom.
Yep.
You're right.
We're
right, and they're right.
I don't know if that fits. I don't know if that
fits. Favorite quote, Tom? Talk me through your favorite quote.
This was a tough one.
This is tough.
This is a tough one because there's a lot of great quotes, and now bear with me because this is a long
Tom,
quote.
I will bear with you forever.
Oh, thanks, bro. This is a long quote, but
through birth, through death,
through the afterlife, or reincarnation.
Ooh, I don't know if we're gonna be in the same spot. I'll write you letters.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
Favorite quote. Sorry,
favorite quote. Okay.
I will bear with you.
Yeah, bear with me here because it had to be Nate. Nate's my boy.
Your favorite quote is from Nate.
My favorite quote is 100% from Nate.
Oh, okay. I'm interested.
I laughed out loud multiple times from rewatching this sequence. Here we go. Talking to Ted. Ted asking him, why he doesn't want to give you advice. Nate, that you won't like my idea, that it makes you hate me, and then you fire me, and then I have to go back with my parents, or live with my parents, and they'll be ashamed of me, and everyone finds out back home and laughs at me until my face melts off. Excuse me.
At least he didn't stutter.
Yes. At least he did. Thank you for picking up the bottom line. But I just love that whole sequence and just Nate so self-deprecating right there.
Sure.
And we've seen him grow throughout the season of getting a little bit more self-confidence, but he still is nowhere near where he needs to be. and it's just that just tickled my funny bone, man. I loved
Right.
it.
Do you think it's also your favorite line because we had to do like 7 takes of it when we did that episode?
False. I crushed it on the first day. I didn't do
I
it as well
actually
that
think
time.
you did
Yeah,
crush it on the first
yeah.
day. No, it's a great quote. I should have seen. I don't know. My assumption is that it would be a Lasso quote because the show's named after the man, but
Nope.
I should have known you'd go after Ted. I'm sorry, after Nate.
Can
Whew.
I give you? Well, I'll let you do yours. I do have a runner-up. I don't want to
No,
steal
no,
your
no, no.
thunder.
Let's hear your runner up.
My runner-up is the Keely and Roy back and forth when Keely asks didn't your last girlfriend steal your Rolex and sell it for drug money? And Roy's like, I don't need a phone and a watch.
Phone
Again, comedy
and
gold.
to watch. Okay, so you went funny. I went maybe a little bit
Or heartfelt?
more. Nah, I don't know. You tell me. So mine was, and it's not even a very good quote. It's just the exchange is when Roy like calls Ted a clown and leaves upon their like first meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and Ted turns to Beard and he says he thinks he's mad now. Well, wait till we win him over. And then Beard's response is he'll be furious. And just the way he delivers that line. So not necessarily the quote, but just the exchange.
Yeah.
And once again, there was so much like in that exchange and in that quote of we've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
He's the domino that's got to fall. We're gonna win these guys over. And then the callback in the last one
Right.
where Roy's like, "You make it so difficult to love you."
That sequence is like the first time that like Roy and them are like having an exchange, right? Like they have a little bit on the field or pitch,
Roy,
whatever, but
yeah, Roy walks by the locker room. Ted's like, "Hey, just wanted to say you've had, a great career. We're, very impressed."
mm-hmm.
And that's when Roy says, "Yeah, I didn't expect my career to be ended by being coached by Ronald Bleepin McDonald." And that's when they go into that.
I like it. And those back and forth with Ted and Beard, where Beard just kind of does the quick little like liner back to him, those are always fantastic.
Right. The last one I would mention as my runner-up would be, and I think it's from the Trent Krim episode, is when Ted says, "For me, success is not about wins and losses. It's about helping these young fellas be the best versions of themselves on and off the field." I mean, that's what the whole show is about, so that's one of my favorite quotes. I'm a sucker for a coach caring about his players.
I don't think that'd be Beard's favorite quote.
No.
Beard is about wins and wins.
Beard's favorite quote is "I hate losing,"
Yeah.
which actually should have been my favorite quote because it touches my soul deeply. We wanted to talk about favorite puns.
Yeah.
Now, I think I don't know if we designated whether or not this has to be a Ted pun or not. I zagged here. My favorite pun is not a Ted pun.
Okay, mine is, I don't know, pun / quote, I guess for me. I would say it's Ted's, for me, locker rooms are a lot like mom's bathing suits. I only want to see them in one piece.
Nice. Very good. That's a good one. Mine was, and maybe I don't understand the definition of a pun.
That's not I don't know if that was a pun.
It's okay. We'll move on.
Okay.
No one will tell us we're wrong because that's not how the internet works. My favorite one was Ted and Higgins are going to have lunch. And Ted, as he leaves the room, is like, "Hey, Higgins, I'll see ya at lunch. We're having salads in my office or whatever." And Higgins says, "Caesar you later." And then
great.
Ted bursts back in and he's like, "Yes, yes."
He runs back in. I love that one.
I'm going to assume that's a pun. It's a play on words, right?
I mean, I guess if I had to do a pun, what I know is a pun, I can probably go to the plethora of dairy puns that were used.
I'm going to call them the 2% Milk Sisters. Any of those.
Yep, do they expire? Gold. Yep. A lot of good ones there.
They're not coming. Oh, did they expire? Oh, so good. And then let's get serious here, Tom.
Let's do it.
As we get older, as we have more life experiences, we grow as human beings.
I'm a grower, not a shower.
What?
Wait.
Okay. We grow in terms of character and personality.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
Where does your mind go?
Okay. That's where my mind was. Got warm in here. Who?
I love making you uncomfortable.
I'm glad you do. In terms of character development, in terms of character growth, who had your favorite kind of character growth arc during season 1?
I'm going to give you the first bit here because I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we have some overlap. I'll let you go first.
I zagged again or zigged. I don't know what the kids say,
Let's
but
see it. Wait, was it the rickshaw driver from the Children for the Children episode?
no, with
No?
the
Okay.
weird honking horn.
Mm-hmm.
No, my favorite growth, and it's kind of, I don't know that it's necessarily subtle, but you got to kind of look for it because they're not main characters. But mine is Isaac and Colin
Mm.
from the relationship standpoint of your first experience with them is them harassing Nate, them like bullying Nate, and
Mm-hmm.
then being just like Jamie's yes men, henchmen,
Yeah.
and like not being likable. And they slowly go from that to, hey, we're not allowed to make fun of you at the gala because Roy hit
Or
me
is
in the face and I can't see straight or something like that. And I'm not supposed to drink, is I think Colin's response. But no, they go from that to then they're like rooting Nate on as he gives his locker room
mm-hmm.
speech. They carry him out of the karaoke club on his
Mm-hmm.
shoulders. And then, yeah, they're just like, you can see they have bought in with Nate
Mm-hmm.
and the team as well. Isaac eventually becomes the captain. So my growth was guys that are seemingly like surface Jamie henchmen to they love Nate, they care about the team, and you even see it when Jamie's like, "Hey," like they put him on second string, and he's like, "Hey, go get the cones," and Colin's like, "No,
Yeah.
you know, you go get the
Yeah, they asked you to, bro.
yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah,
Those are good picks. I like those. I kind of kept it in the main cast. I kind of went back and forth between my boy Nate and Roy, but I think Nate grew, but he still he still got some growing I think to do. I think my number one was Roy.
yeah,
I love Roy's storyline. We first meet him, he's just this stubborn SOB that seemingly he knows kind of all. He doesn't give Ted the time of day. As we kind of see throughout the series, Ted kind of keeps nudging him, and eventually he kind of falls. But it wasn't easy. And then we talked about this during the pause that the show wouldn't have been as good if a character like Roy just flipped so quickly.
right,
Ted had to work hard at it, and I think it was all earned the way he did it. But I think Roy also had to not only grow to appreciate Ted and his coaching style, but he needed to look into himself because he knew he was in the twilight of his career,
sure,
and he knew he's not the same player that he was. And I think as we see in the final episode, he accepts not only I think episode before not being part of the starting 11, but then accepts the fact that hey, this injury is likely going to be the end, and is still there with the team, and
right,
is going to be there. So I'm very interested to see what they do in season 2. We know he's
sure.
obviously going to be around. They obviously hinted very heavily that he's going to retire. So hopefully they figure out a fun way to keep him integrated because he was obviously a very fantastic character.
Yeah, Roy's great. I agree with you in terms of if it's not going to be Colin and Isaac, the number one people for growth in the show, the second for me would have been Roy as well. I revisited this because episode 3, my favorite episode, is the one where he's reading Wheel of Time.
Right.
He realizes he's got to be like a leader. He's got to protect Nate from Jamie and say
Mm-hmm.
something to the team. But in that episode, he still hasn't turned like
No.
completely to
Yep.
Lasso. He's still like he yells at him in the schoolyard, like, "Am I the little girl? I'd like you to be." Like they go through all that, and then I think it's an important point to mention because you and I both are sports guys. We love our sports. We love watching the sports on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
We love watching other people play the sports. You like kicking things at people's heads.
Correct.
You also like kicking people, which is something I want to talk with you about. But at the end of the episode, or the episode of the season, his decision to like essentially sit himself, give the captain's ban over,
Mm-hmm.
is something we don't see in sports in terms of someone being willing to like take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the time you see these guys, they won't retire
Yep.
or they won't let the new guy like take the position and grow. And it very rarely ever works out where they like go from team to team trying to find
Right.
past glory.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I didn't, one of the things they have the conversation about in Ted's Flat is Roy's talking about like going to play in America or going to
Mm-hmm.
play on another team. And he's been with Richmond so long, the thing you want and like those fans probably want is for him to retire from that club. And
Exactly.
yeah, so good. I like it. Next, I would like to talk about, my good friend Thomas, your favorite heartwarming moment from the show.
I feel like this is. I don't think there's anything. There's a lot of heartwarming moments. So I think there's a lot to choose from, and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
interested to see what you say. But to me, this scene is far and away better than anyone, and I think it's the dart sequence when he kind of talks about being curious and not judgmental. Kind of
Sure.
uses the Walt Whitman quote. Um, I just think it was just so incredibly powerful, so simplistic in its delivery, with him kind of playing darts and seemingly hustling Rupert.
Right.
But yeah, just the way so much is revealed in that. And he's not necessarily saying a lot. He's just talking about, if you were curious, Rupert, you would have asked if I played darts and you would have known how good I am. You would have known I've been playing, I played with my dad since I was 10 to 16, right before he passed.
Right.
It was just really powerful. And that as you're watching this scene, it's focusing on Ted, and he keeps cutting randomly, or not randomly, but cutting intermittently to Rebecca. And it's Rebecca kind of, starting to realize, like, I have not asked this guy any questions. He's
Right.
been nothing but kind and nothing but nice to me. And I think it was a really powerful moment for her as a character, to kind of open up and be the Rebecca we see at the end of the season, who is, what Sassy says is the real Rebecca.
Sure. You almost wish her turn happened then. And it's
Yes.
interesting you bring that point up because he is doing that for her. Like, he has stepped up to challenge Rupert. He calls it white knighting. He's
Yeah.
like, some people would call it white knighting, but I'm just going with it, or I'm just making it up as I go.
Yep.
But, like, he is putting himself out there either to lose or be made a fool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's put some skin in the game, but he's doing it because Rupert has been so terrible to her
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. And so this was my best scene. We talked heartwarming and best scene. So I will talk this scene as well. But no, I mean, you hit it all on the head. He's standing up for Rebecca. Be curious, not judgmental. We see some stuff about his childhood. So yeah, great scene, and just the music's well
Mm-hmm.
done. The way Jason Sudeikis plays it, like in terms of you can see like he is remembering his dad. He's
Mm-hmm.
like going through like how familiar darts is for him and like what it means to him.
Yeah.
And it helps to have Rupert as the foil because Rupert is a bastard.
Just the worst.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is one of the, to me, this is the thing I probably, the quote that I took away from this whole season is that be curious, not judgmental.
sure.
Because I do feel that I'm not curious in a lot of aspects of my life. Sometimes I don't, think to ask questions and judge book by its covers, or judge people I work with or acquaintances, when I should be doing more to get to know people. And it's not easy nowadays, but um, yeah, definitely a really powerful one for me.
Great scene. So I will take a second, like a close second, heartwarming scene, and this one's gonna surprise you. I feel like you might gasp, you might react to
I
this
might I
one.
might do like a Leslie Higgins and go, oh,
Well, that's when someone lies, or is
uh,
like, no, 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 no. But you may faint, so I'll wake you up with spelling salts if you do faint.
here.
Mine was when they are tossing things into the fire, and they get to the point where Jamie has to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And he has kind of a moment of honesty in terms of, and this will always get me because as a parent and as a son myself, I think like parent and kid dynamic things. I don't think more I got more emotional after I had children. I think that's maybe just a
Yeah,
scientific
it
thing.
happens.
But when he starts talking about, wanting to make his mother proud, like the whole reason he played the game was because of her, and then like other pressures came in, like other his dad, who was not a nice guy, like trying to
Mm-hmm.
impress him became more important, and he forgot like essentially about the joy of the game, or like playing with other people rather than just trying to be the best or like the most ruthless,
Mm-hmm.
and not being called soft. For a character like that who you despise most of the show, like he has a moment there, and
Yeah.
so I enjoyed that heartwarming moment. But I definitely, I mean, it would fall short of the dart
Mm-hmm.
the dart scene, most definitely.
I think one thing is, again, an honorable mention would be the sequence where Ted finally lets Michelle go. Like when just the way that whole sequence
Sure.
was shot, I think that got me emotionally the
Right.
most. Like I was, definitely kind of tearing up just based on the delivery and how it was filmed in the rain and everything else that was going on, that was probably a pretty close second for me too.
Right. Yeah, I rewatched that scene. I have problems with the Michelle
I know.
situation, so I couldn't go with that one. But what did get me on that one was at the very end when he's done, Beard comes out with the beer for him.
Yeah,
They sit at the bench
it's his boy.
sadly. The music plays. They cheers. So yeah, I would agree with you there.
Hmm.
Best scene in the whole show, Tom. I kind of already gave mine, so I'm gonna step and let you have this one.
It's got to go to my boy Nate. The locker room sequence where he's telling off the entire team.
Okay, yeah,
It was just such a great, like, I already kind of loved Nate in the beginning. I always loved the kind of the shy, quiet characters. I also love characters that like talk super fast and like get through their stuff because I always feel like I miss stuff the first time around. So it's
sure,
fun to rewatch. But him just decimating the team, starting out super slow with Isaac, kind of telling him, hey, you're more concerned about looking tough than actually being tough.
sure.
And he gives a Mandela line to Sam, tells Colin about like whether he's a Brazilian, whether he waxes his
Body,
body hair, body
sure.
hair. It talks about Danny Rojas and football is life. Well, he's like, well, if football is life, then your defense is death. And then that final sequence of that with him confronting Roy and Roy just kind of standing up and could have intimidated Nate to just not say anything,
Sure.
but Nate still he sits there, he holds his ground even though seemingly Roy is like 3 feet taller than him in this scene.
Right.
But he tells him like it is. He tells like, hey, you're old, you're slow, you're not what you used to
Your
be.
focus drifts.
Your focus drifts is a great line. But I love the line. He's like, you used to play angry. You were walking around like you're angry at the grass. And again, it was just great. And it was that I think it was a catalyst for Nate to have him kind of turn and the
Right.
whole team to be able to kind of get on board with him because it was like a little mini roast that he was doing. And there was, like Ted said, there was nobody else on the team that could have given that speech and had the same impact. If Beard would
Right.
have gave it, Ted would have given it, wouldn't have been the same. And it was hilarious. It was shot very, very well and did a lot of character development.
Right. No, great scene. I agree with you. And one of the things that I continue to enjoy about that scene is at this point the team is kind of in Nate's corner. So when he's up there like nervously,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "No, man, you can
You
do
got
it.
it.
You can
got
do
it.
it." And then it's like, "Oh no, he's going to like open all our souls up and read it to the room."
That was Sam's response. Sam's like, who's the second one? He's like, oh no.
Oh no. And then Colin's like, "What just happened?" Yeah, great scene. I love it. No surprise that you picked a Nate scene. Next thing I want to talk about is if you could make a major change. And I kind of thought of this as like if I could insert an episode into the season,
Okay.
like what would I pitch?
Yeah.
And so what
Let me
I
do
was,
it if I may, because I think you've got a better answer for this than I do. So I kind of thought about this when you put in the outline. My kind of general thought was trying to make Rupert a little bit more, not necessarily likable, but just more like understandable. Because I felt like he was just too villainous.
okay,
This is like a lot of like superhero movies. Like if the villain is just literally out there to
be a
get the
villain,
hero,
right?
like you don't appreciate it or like it much. That's why like a lot of DC superhero movies are kind of boring and garbage because their villains are terrible.
Sure.
So I think that one thing about Rupert, if they would have given him some sort of humanity or whatever, like they did with Jamie, like
Right.
Jamie was a heel, you hated him, but then you understood why. I would think this season would have benefited from having some sort of thing because he
Right.
just would constantly come in to just constantly put Rebecca down and just be the catalyst for Rebecca to do other stuff.
Sure. So you wanted a scene where like Rupert as a baby is in like a carriage and his parents don't want him, so they like take him over to a bridge and they throw him into the water and he floats through the sewer and then there's a bunch of like soccer balls that live in the sewer.
Oh, I thought you were
and
gonna...
he's raised by soccer balls and then he becomes like the soccer ball man and that's how he earns all of his millions.
That would have been pretty awesome.
And then Batman fights him.
I
agree. They should have had an episode of that.
You nailed it, man. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like we can read each other's sandwiches.
I can read your sandwich. Here was the one that I thought about because, and I think you talked about it a couple of times, just in terms of like turns that happened for the sake of the show. But one of the things I really wanted was the episode where they're all burning things, they're getting rid of the ghost. like Jamie's on board. He tells his story.
Hmm.
They drink the mezcal, like they're singing their song. Um, well, that very next, or actually the end of that episode,
Yeah, the next
Jamie's
scene.
gone.
Yeah.
What I wish they would have done there, and I'm not a television writer, I've written several movies, that's
Yeah.
beside the point,
And a book.
and a book.
Do you want to plug your book?
No, my best writing is about the soccer ball man fighting Batman. I recently told you about it. Um, the what I wanted out of that is for that one to end with them bonding at the bonfire,
Hmm.
and then the next episode being like things working. Like
Mm.
Jamie's in, they've got Danny Rojas, Roy and Jamie are like building on something.
Hmm.
And we have like an episode of maybe there's some conflict, but like we see that it works. Like
Yeah.
Ted's philosophy has worked. And then what you make it as is like Rebecca is seeing like, oh no, like he's
Hmm.
he's righted the ship. This is going well.
Yep.
And then at the end of that one, they get rid of Jamie. I wanted to see it was like such a quick like you get the satisfaction of oh Jamie's bought in like
Hmm.
Jamie, and it's almost so short that you wonder like did Jamie just give that speech about like his family and
Agreed.
stuff
Agreed.
that like he is on board. So it's a very small nitpick, but it would have been fun to have the episode where like all your favorite characters are working together. They win a game.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't even care about the soccer part of it, but like through practice, you see them working together, and then you like rip my heart out
Yeah.
by taking him
Like,
away.
yeah, exactly. Like Jamie and Roy are not going to become best buds or whatever.
Sure.
They're not going to get matching best friend necklaces, but like they're still going to have a little dichotomy. But they'll pass to each other in practice, or they'll get along to a point. I do like now that you say that, I feel like they had to have done that or scripted that out in the writers' room at least initially, and say like
So you
let's
think my
have it.
idea is unoriginal? Is
No,
what
no,
you're
no.
saying?
I know. I think it's very well said, and I think
Brilliant.
brilliant
Thank you.
almost like Trent Krim level.
Sorry, it looked like you were trying to form that word, so I wanted to help
I
you out.
appreciate it. It's like leading me in and leading me on to say a specific phrase when you're interviewing me. It's like,
Yes.
oh, is that how you felt? That's exactly how I felt.
Okay.
But I agree. Like, I think that that middle could have been a lot more impactful to show that Ted and Beard's process works. And I'm wondering if they tried to keep it in that nice, tight, and pretty 10 episode kind of arc or
Right.
sequence. Like, to me, I could care less if it's 10 episodes, 11 episodes, 9. Like, if you got a story to tell it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, but it's a really good call out.
Thank you. Best running gag, Tom. Did you have a running gag that went through the show that you really felt strongly about?
I thought about this for a while, and I really couldn't come up with any like a great running gag that was the whole time. I want to hear yours.
So I also thought this was interesting. I was like, oh, there's things that they do through, but then I thought about it, and there's like stuff they'll do for an episode
Or two, maybe.
or like two, but then it kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Like my favorite one in the beginning of the season is when they'd be like, "Oh, so if I get fired putting my cleats in the trunk of a car, you got the boot, putting your boots in the boot or
Yeah,
whatever."
yeah.
And then they do the one about, so if I'm reading the seminal works of such and such, and then he like zags at him at the end.
Yeah.
They never do that again.
Yeah.
Like it's just in that. But I thought that would have been a funny like I'm sure those ones are difficult to come up with. Maybe
Yeah.
they're not, but
Well, they did. I mean, you could argue they didn't do that exact like gag, if you will, but they did things similar, or they kept kind of playing on the whole like English versus like American versions of words and things like that. Like
sure,
how they call the lesser league the championship league, and they kind of make fun of that and the irony
right,
and that. So there's still some of it, but yeah, definitely not as much.
right. So mine was I like, and they got a lot of distance out of Roy's age and making fun
Yeah.
of Roy's age. Jamie has some great zingers, and then other people get in on it every once in a while. Even in the last episode, Ted's like, "Give it up for Roy. He chased down his grandson."
Yeah.
Like the Roy being old jokes, I felt was a fun. Maybe that doesn't count as a running gag,
I
but
think
it
it
was
does.
something that got brought up. We'll call it a callback.
Mm.
My favorite callback was when Sam gets injured and Roy tells him to stay down,
Yeah.
stand up, wave like you could bravely go on, and then Roy does it in the last episode. That was my favorite callback, just that moment. Because if I was in the crowd I would have just been like a sucker for that. I would have been like, oh, Tommy's injured, but he can still do it, man. He can still do it. Yeah, I'd be super pumped. But that's just some of the acting that goes into the game. That is the most beautiful game.
It is. It is pretty gorgeous.
So no callbacks or running gags that you really love.
No, I mean the only thing I think of is like the be a goldfish thing, because they kind of start the series off with him telling Sam not to be a goldfish, or to be a goldfish, excuse me, to kind of forget and move on. Don't let things like linger and pester.
Right.
Which, I mean, maybe they don't necessarily say the phrase "be a goldfish," but I think Ted clearly does that at a certain point. Like mid-season, he goes through a divorce and he realizes he's got to move on with his life and does it. So yeah, maybe you can call that a callback, or not necessarily a running gag, but I don't know.
Sure.
Get me Will Trent, ABC Tuesday.
I don't even know where he is.
Will Trent is back.
You thought you could hide forever? Time to come home.
The series that's being called one of the best network procedurals.
We're going to solve this case.
Featuring new cast member Gina Rodriguez.
I'm a prosecutor. We deal in truth and facts.
Maybe everybody should try that, huh?
Will Trent, the 2-part season premiere, begins Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Okay, well, now the moment we've all been waiting for. But before we dive into that, maybe we should take a break.
Let's take a break.
Now the moment I've been anticipating this whole season is we are going to play a little game of trivia. Both Tom and I came up with some questions for the other. We would love you as an audience to play along, keep your own score, and then send your score to the White House. So that
1600 Pennsylvania Ave.
It can go into the Congressional Archives of something, Washington Monument Library. So Tom is going to start. He's going to ask his questions of me, and I predict that I will get everyone almost right.
Okay. Now, I have 5 trivia questions. I might come up with more. Let's find out.
Sure.
They're going to start a little easier, and then they'll get a little more difficult.
That's never good.
Are you ready?
I was born ready, Tom.
What newspaper does reporter Trent Krim write for?
Trent Krim writes for... I'm going to allow the audience to think about it for a moment because I know the answer. I know the answer is not the Daily Planet, as Ted makes the joke. He works for and writes for The Independent because he is Trent Krim of The Independent.
That is correct. You got it right.
Thank you. 1 point for me. If you're keeping score at home, I have 1 point.
Now, some of my questions have bonus questions within them. So we'll just go ahead and separate them out since I only came up with 5.
So you have 5 questions, but really you have like 20?
Yeah, for funsies.
Wonderful.
All right. What college football team does Ted coach in the Americas before joining AFC Richmond?
It's a great question, Tom. And since I watched them play, I know the answer to this.
Okay, interesting.
Are bonus questions worth more?
Bonus questions will be 1/3 of the value.
Okay. Can I wager the point I already have on this question?
You may not.
Okay. He coached Wichita State.
Wichita State University is the correct answer.
Thank you. 2
points. Bonus question.
1.3 points.
What is the mascot and what is the mascot's name?
Oh, what is the mascot and what is the mascot's name? I'm going to say the mascot is the mascot of Wichita State is a hawk, and his name is John Hawk.
No, it is a bundle of wheat. And the mascot's name is Wooshock.
Wooshock.
It's just, I say that because like the shirt that Ted is wearing, like it has the logo and it's like a fighting thing of wheat that has like all messy hair or whatever. Yeah, and apparently the name is Wooshock. So
incredible. So I have 1 point.
1 point.
1 point. Those were both bonuses.
Yes.
Okay.
Question number 3. AFC Richmond Stadium. What is the name of the stadium?
The name of the AFC Richmond Stadium. So you're talking about in real life, or you're talking about...
That is the bonus question.
Okay. I believe the name of the stadium is Richmond Stadium.
No.
Greyhound Stadium.
No.
Dang it.
You didn't even get the nickname. It's like the Dog Pound, I think, or the that they call the Dog Pound?
They might.
I don't know. But the actual name of the stadium is Nelson Road Stadium.
Nelson Road Stadium.
Nelson Road Stadium.
No,
and where I will accept.
Are we in the hard questions or are we still in the easy questions?
This is probably the harder of the questions.
Okay, wonderful.
And do you know the real stadium that is actually the scene of their?
I'm gonna say like Wexham.
No.
Weckham's.
And I've said this on the pod multiple times.
I know, but I don't listen.
I don't listen to you. It's Selhurst Park, which is where Crystal Palace plays.
Got it.
So, it's a two-parter.
Oh, wonderful.
Question number 4. Name the 2 commentators for all AFC Richmond games. I will accept first or last names of the commentators.
One's Arlo White.
Very good.
Okay. And the other one is Sir Bagginsley of Bagginsville, Hampshire.
Close. Chris Powell.
Chris Powell. Okay.
2 very famous English announcers.
Okay, so that was worth 2 points, and I get 1 point.
You got
so
1
I'm
point.
at 2 points right now.
Okay. What is the name of the pub that we frequent throughout the series?
Oh, the name of the pub, which is run by the Publican.
The Publican. It is not the Winchester of Shaun of the Dead.
No, it is not. It's called...
Even though there is a player on AFC Richmond whose last name is Winchester.
Oh,
I like to think that is a
callback.
A callback. Well, a callback, but a reference, if you will.
I'm going to say, and what's silly about this is I told you the name of this
sure did.
during
I asked
the pod. It is the Anchor and Rope.
Oh, close. The Crown and Anchor.
The Crown and Anchor. The most British of names of pubs.
Yes.
They should have called it Heart of Oak and then sang the British naval song. Anyways. All right. So I'm at 2 points.
2 points. The last question I have, I could probably come up with some more, but this is the last one I got. What is black and white and red all over?
What is black and white and red all over? Oh, I know this. Good for you. This is in reference to the lion or panda debate.
Correct.
And this is a panda that messes or gets anywhere near a lion.
Yes, a panda that gets anywhere near an effing lion, per Rebecca.
Oh, man. At first I was like, oh, this has got to be a Ted joke. But then, no, that's great. It's the one time Rebecca tells a joke in the whole season.
It might have been.
All right, very good. So
good.
I get 3 points
You did well.
out of what was essentially 7.3 questions.
Sure.
All right, Tom. Are you ready for your questions?
I am born ready, my friend.
All right.
I'm not looking, don't worry.
Okay. What book is given to Sam in Trent Grimm the Independent, episode 3?
Okay.
If you can name...
Wrinkle in Time is Roy.
Okay. That's not the question,
I
but
know,
you are
I know.
right.
This is helping
Talk
me
it through.
get to it.
Talk it through.
What does... This is Sam, right?
Yep.
Obasanya, what does he get?
Sam gets a book.
Sam gets Ender's Game.
Sam does get Ender's Game.
Boom.
Way to look at the answer. Good for you.
Boom.
Okay.
What does Jamie get? That's what I was also trying to think.
Jamie gets...
he gets like a Gatsby type book,
yeah,
right?
The Something and the Damned.
Okay.
Like the Beautiful and the Damned. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Okay,
You're
nice.
right. Okay. Now I've got to cover the answers because Tom is 100%
I'm not looking. Move
cheating.
the computer. I'm not cheating.
I can't move the computer. It's stationary. Second question for Tom. Tom's 1 for 1 right now. He's trying to beat my 3 out of 7.3. This question is worth 1 point.
Okay.
What is Roy's niece's name?
Phoebe.
Take your time. Take your time. Think about it. What is Roy's niece's name?
I think it's Phoebe.
I'm going to need a last name as well.
Phoebe Kent?
Cannot be because it's Roy's sister's kid, if I remember, because she said no electronics.
Well, we don't know if Roy's sister she could have kept her maiden name.
That's correct. It's Phoebe.
That's correct. So I get 2 points for that.
You have 2 points.
I get 3 points.
Okay. Question number 3, Tom.
Yep.
I'm glad I made mine easy for you and you drug me through the dirt. Question 3.
Yep.
In the suggestion box, what does Roy say he hopes Ted chokes on? And Beard goes, Roy.
They want a better shower pressure.
Think about it. What do most Americans choke on?
Oh,
Not
it's,
that.
A Big Mac. Is it a Big Mac
It's
or
a Big
McDonald's
Mac.
burger?
It's a Big Mac, Tom. Good
Yes.
job. 3
So-
for
Because
3.
he made the clown reference of Ronald McDonald. We called it back to the clown. That was a good one.
3 for 3. If you're listening to this in a car or while working out, please shout out your score right now. We'll give you a moment. Are people looking at you? Wonderful. All right, so Tom's 3 for 3. Tom's tied my score at this point,
Yep.
and he still has 7 questions to go.
I'm having a great time.
Tom, what is it called when a word becomes a sound? What is it called when a word becomes a sound?
It's not Schadenfreude.
Nope, not Schadenfreude.
It is.
Let me remove that question because that's next.
It is. Oh gosh, Is it semantic satiation?
Tom, you're pretending like you don't know the answers to these.
I don't know. I
but
remember
you're
it was
knowing them.
satiation. I didn't remember if it was semantic or like something else. Is it semantic?
It's semantic,
Oh.
satiation. For a bonus point, a half a bonus point,
Okay.
word for word, give me the definition. Word for word.
Semantic satiation is the repeating of a word to the point where it does not make sense.
No, I'm sorry. You missed that. It's a psychological phenomenon in which repetition causes a word or phrase to temporarily lose meaning for the listener, who then perceives the speech as repeating meaningless sounds. Extended inspection or analysis staring at the word or phrase for a lengthy period of time in place of the repetition also produces the same effect. So you were close.
That's pretty much what
You
I
were very
said.
close. All right. What is the enjoyment attained from the troubles of others?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. Say that 12 times fast. Don't
If
get
you're
arrested.
German, it's probably easy.
What war? This is question number 6. We skipped 5 because you answered it before the question was even asked. What war was the stadium used as a recruiting ground for? The Richmond Stadium. Which war?
Gotta be the American Civil War. No, I'm just kidding. It's 1 or 2. I'm gonna say it's gotta be 1. World War I.
World War One. Tom, you are currently 6 for 6. Incredible work.
I'm kicking
my
1,000, as they would
friend.
say.
You are kicking 1,000. You're a real goal scorer. What? Okay. Question number 7.
Okay.
What does Richard cast into the fire? What does he covet so much that he gives it up to the ghosts?
Oh, Richard is our Frenchman.
Richard, yes.
He
Nobody understands you when he's complaining.
Yeah. He puts in a vial of sand from a beach. Do I need to name the beach?
No.
From Barbados.
If you're right, no, you don't have to name
No.
the beach.
No, it's not Barbados. It's St. Martin. Beach from St. Martin,
Yeah,
where
St. Croix, St. Martin,
Croix.
something
Okay,
like that,
one of the saints, where he made love to his supermodel girlfriend.
The first time
First
he made
time.
love to a
Yes.
model or
Yes.
to a supermodel.
I almost said Lamborghini keys, but realized
No,
last
that's
minute
Colin.
that is Colin.
No, Richard cries and Colin says, "Be sad because, or be happy because it happened," or something like that. All right, 7 for 7. Good for you, Tom. Apparently, I did not go nearly as difficult.
Listen, these are probably tough questions. The fact that we've recorded a podcast and watched every one of these episodes multiple times might be doing it. It'll be
No.
interesting to see what our audience
No
says.
excuses. Play like a champion. This one is a bit of a trick question. All answers are valid.
Okay.
What activity can Jamie not do alone, apparently?
What activity?
Don't think
Jamie-
about it too hard. What activity can Jamie not do alone, apparently? What is so unbearable? for him?
Pavlov? Pavlovian
Pavlovian?
things?
No, not well. Sure. I guess it could turn into that.
I don't know, man. I'm blanking on this one. What can Jamie
How
not do
long's a
alone?
man meant to be alone?
Oh, is it just literally make love because he had
No.
to shower?
It's shower,
It's
my
just
friend.
showering.
It is shower.
But he needed help.
Yes. So, very good. You got shower. I would have accepted, no, make love you can, never mind. Okay. Question number 9.
That's what a wanker has been. Somebody that's
man.
alone in their own thoughts.
Somebody wants to be alone with their thoughts. Number 9. What bet does Lasso pay to Beard at the end of episode 1?
It's funny though, because he paid it right after episode 1 and not until episode 10, like this podcast. and somebody paying off a bet. But anyways.
Yeah, well, I don't coach Premier Soccer League, so I don't have the type of salary to pay a $5 bet. I had to scrimp and save. I had to tell the kids the tooth fairy wasn't showing up.
It is Ted's usage of the phrase "into pitch."
No.
Casually saying it into his.
No,
yes.
It's not into pitch.
Yes.
Into touch.
Oh,
Thomas.
Man. Yes. I'm sorry.
Thomas.
I got the phraseology mixed up. It's into pitch or into touch, which is on the pitch when it goes out of bounds.
Yes, exactly. So you are now 8 of 9.
Okay.
And the last question.
Yep.
Here we go. You almost had it perfect. Almost. But it's not about wins or losses, Tom.
No, it's about teaching these kids. Are you trying to teach me how to be a better man?
Yes, and that's why we get to question number 10.
Okay.
Which is, which of the 10 commandments does Ted break? Which of the 10 commandments does Ted Lasso break in season 1?
I know it. Thou shalt not steal, because he stole my heart.
That is an acceptable answer. Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
We would have also accepted adultery, coveting someone else's ox, and lastly, not keeping the Sabbath holy, because I'm pretty sure they play on Sundays. Anyways, you win the trivia game, Tom. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hey, those are good questions, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. And then finally, this brings us to a little game I like to call Island Buddies, which is you're stuck on a desert island, Tom. Picture yourself on St. Croix. There's no supermodels in sight. The sand is a little bit warm, not from the sun, but from two bodies.
There will be supermodels in sight.
Okay. Interesting. We are going to draft, each of us, 3 characters from the show that we would like to spend. You're stuck on a desert island. You don't know if you're going to escape. This isn't Vacation, Tom. This is survival.
Of course.
This is like the game we sometimes play with books and... Oh, sorry. That's probably very loud.
I'm moving your paper.
Sorry, there goes my answers. Who would you spend? You're stuck on a desert island, Tom. What 3 characters would you spend them with? I'll let you draft first.
Let's go 1 for 1, right?
Yeah, 1 for 1.
Okay.
We cannot pick the same.
So if I've got to go, now my number 1, it's got to be Keely. She's fun.
Go on.
She's incredibly fun. She'd be a fun person to be stuck on an island with.
Okay.
She's incredibly resourceful. We've seen that she's a jack of all trades. She can do a little bit of everything. 100% Keely.
Okay, jack of all trades in terms of like cut down coconut trees and build shelter.
Not everybody needs to be like I'm interested to see where you go now.
Okay.
You don't need everybody to like chop down trees. I can chop down some trees. I'm stuck on the island, but I need somebody that's an ideas person.
Stuck on the island? What was?
I'm stuck on. the island.
You're stuck on the island. Okay, different phrasing. Anyways, I mean. Here were my top choice. Well,
no. You're up next. Who's your next?
Originally, I was just going to say Rebecca, Keely, and Bex, but then I got in trouble. So, here's where I went, and the most obvious answer is Beard, Coach Beard.
That was toward my list.
Coach Beard is a guy that is going to know how to survive. He's read the books. He's studied.
He's read the books.
He's read the books on survival. He's probably got a big dictionary hollowed out with matches, a hatchet, and all those things in it. He's the Dwight of any of this. So, Beard, he's resourceful. He's even-keeled, you know? He's not going to... Actually, now that I think of Beard, would Beard murder me in my sleep?
Yeah.
He's got kind of that mentality.
Yeah, Beard's a bit of an enigma. Like, I agree, he'd probably be a great survivalist, but yeah, if he decides that the group isn't going well and needs to eat somebody, Beard's going to make that decision first, and he's going to eat you.
Yeah,
he's going to eat you.
I'm still sticking with Beard. I think Beard and I make a good team, and he is very resoreful. So who's number 2 for you, Tom? Or is this a snake draft where I get to go next?
No, this is not a snake draft. I get to go next. My boy Nate. First off,
you can have him.
You can have him. Nate's intelligent.
Sure.
He's going to get stuff done.
Sure.
If I task Nate something, he's going to get it done.
Sure.
He could polish the heck out of a boot. He could probably make some... We've already seen he makes fantastic sports drinks. I'm assuming he's going to make fantastic island drinks as well.
Okay.
And he's just an all-around great human being. Nate all day long.
No, I would not take Nate. I would say that Nate, if Beard is my other person and I took Nate, Beard and I would quietly determine that we're going to eat Nate
Interesting.
because Nate looks delicious.
He looks delicious.
He looks like a treat. My second one is 100% Sam. Sam Obisanya. Here's why I would go with Sam Obisanya.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Obisanya is positive, relentlessly positive, super nice, and he just seems like someone I could spend the rest of my waning years on an island with and like have a wonderful time. He also looks like someone who would not be afraid to help put up a shelter and do those sorts of things. So I'm going with Sam.
I'm going very heavily on the manual labor pieces.
Well, I don't want to do the work, so my hope is that I have some people that can help me out. Actually, I'd love to build a palm frond hut at some point in my life. So I'm going Beard and Sam.
Okay, Beard Sam. Okay, so you took Beard.
Yep.
Yep. My other one. I mean, I feel remiss if we don't pick Ted. I'm not going to pick him, but I would feel remiss if we don't. So I'm going to pick
Henry. You're taking his son.
I'm
Oh
not
no!
I'm not taking his son. I'm going to take Roy.
Okay.
I feel like if I've
Talk me through that decision.
If I've got Nate on the island, I've got my smart, funny, intelligent guy.
Sure.
I've got Keely as my fun-loving, resourceful, jack of all trades. You ask her to do something, she's gonna get it done because she can get things done. So I got my two people that can get things done.
Mm-hmm.
I need Roy to be my buddy, to be my chum on the island that we can just shoot the stuff with. We can curse all day long and have a great time with it. He's likely one that can help me build a shelter. I'm assuming if we get attacked by like an invasive species, he'd be the one that could help chop down said species.
Sure.
And
what type of species are you being attacked by? Are these
I don't know.
trees? Are these velociraptors?
I don't know, man. Have you seen there's that movie with the vines that attack people?
I have not seen this movie.
The internet's going to yell at me for not knowing the name of this movie. There's a movie where they're like on a pyramid and vines just start attacking people. I'm assuming that's going to happen in our island situation.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm gonna take Roy.
I think it's interesting that when you're like, hey, I want to be buddies with someone, where you choose Roy, the most like obstinate, prickly member of the cast.
I can get past that exterior.
I think in the first week, Roy beats you up and sends you to the other part of the island where you live in isolation, and then Nate, Keely, and Roy all live in great joy without you. And
listen, will it happen? Probably.
Okay. My last one.
Listen, you took Beard. I had to go Roy.
Sure, no, it makes sense. Yeah. My last one is the obvious choice. I'm going with Bex. Here's why I'm going with Bex. If Bex can put up with Rupert, Bex can put up with anyone. And I am not necessarily the easiest person to get along with or be with. So my assumption is that Bex would probably allow me to be pretty grumpy and pretty unpleasant, but not be like hateful towards me. So
I don't want to make any judgment calls on Bex. She seems like a delightful person.
Seems lovely.
The fact
owner
that
of a football team,
you're on a desert island and you don't have a whole lot of money could hinder like Bex's niceness to you. But I feel like that's a big part of her affinity with Rupert. I could be wrong. Maybe he's a classy gentleman elsewhere.
If we're in a place where the currency's coconuts and I have all the coconuts? I'm sticking with it. So my team is...
I was going to make a lovely bunch of coconuts reference, but I'm like, yeah, it's
too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon. All those coconuts. All right. Let me just put the people into the island calculator, and we die after 3 days. So, and you live forever and have other islands join you into some sort of large nation. Okay, last thing we wanted to do, we both had a chance to watch the season 2 trailer in preparation of watching it and going through it. Obviously, I've tried to avoid as much as I could in terms of the news. Watching the season 2 trailer, do you have strong impressions about going into? Do you feel like it revealed all that much about season 2?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good trailer. It was short and sweet. I generally like staying away from trailers, like for movies and things like that, because I feel like if it's a movie I know I'm going to watch, I don't need to watch a trailer for it. I know I'm going to go in the theater. I don't want jokes and that kind of stuff given. But this trailer was, I think it did good to kind of set up what we're in for in terms of some struggling team dynamics. It looks like we've got some penalty kick issues with our boy Danny Rojas. He missed quite a few during the sequence. Surprisingly missing throughout this trailer was Roy.
I don't think Roy showed up once.
Yeah, Roy's not in there at all. There is somebody kissing Keely, and it happens very quickly. So I'm assuming that's Roy, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Maybe it's someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Joy.
But we do get to meet
Boy
Joy.
Boy Joy, Roy's alter ego.
Yeah, so
because we get to meet
Led Tasso, which apparently is Ted Lasso's alter ego, which I'm assuming is going to be a callback to the original YouTube videos. That is how we got Ted Lasso. Because if you go back and watch the NBC promo videos they did when NBC got Premier League and they did Ted Lasso and Jason Sudeikis' little bits, he was not the same fun-loving, optimistic Ted Lasso we know from the show.
Yeah,
he's a bit more direct, and he's yelling at people and all this kind of stuff. So I'm assuming they're going to kind of do a play on that, which is a lot of fun. But
there's a lot of soccer in that.
There was.
So, like, the show, as we discovered in season 1, not about soccer. It's not like that's kind of a through line, but like the woes in the trailer seem to be about soccer.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, are they back in the Premier League, or are they, because Ted says something like, how often does someone like us win the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
And Higgins says not for 40 years. So are we going to do a time jump where we're back in the Premier League, you think?
Yeah, I think you
Because my thought was we go down, we
Yep.
play a season in the
Championship League.
Championship League, the Chocolate Chip League, as I like to call it. Most people do. You'll know what I'm talking about out there. My championship heads, my chocolate chip heads. Dang it, I'll get there. You're welcome. And then go back up because it's a 3-season show.
We thought, yes, we apparently were wrong. I mean, the trailer didn't specifically say that, but I agree. Reading between the lines, it does seem like they're back in the Premier League pretty quickly.
Okay.
We'll see.
No Jamie either. Did you see Jamie in there?
No Tart.
No Jamie, no Tart, no Roy, no Kent, no Tart. That's how I order my coffee.
Extra large coffee grande, no Kent, no Tart.
No Kent, no Tart. I've been escorted out of a lot of coffee shops, mainly because I don't drink coffee. Queen playing.
Yeah.
You could probably put Queen in any trailer and it'll go well.
I don't technically think that was Queen. It was Under Pressure. It is Freddie Mercury and David Bowie. I don't think it's actually Queen doing the instrumentals. I could be wrong.
So it's the Diamond Dogs,
Yeah.
the original Diamond Dogs.
Let's think of the two. I don't know. Terriers was the only alliteration I had from the
two singing terriers.
Sure. Wonderful. Let's go with that.
The parallel line terriers, if you're looking for a shape with two things in it, you're welcome.
But we still got a lot of dynamic. We've got, Higgins is still there. We got Nate on the sidelines with Beards, and now he's officially the assistant coach. So they're all kind of there.
Nate's dressed in like a 3-piece suit with like, did you notice he's not in his tracksuit garb?
Yeah,
he's in like
on the sidelines he was in his tracksuit garb, but is there another shot where he wasn't?
Oh, there were several shots where he's in a suit. I assume he goes like professional manager suit guy.
That'd be classy.
Yeah, that would be classy.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite moment is when Led Tasso calls them turd birds.
All right, turd birds, touch your toes. All right, touch everybody else's toes.
Yeah. I don't know. It did not give me all that much other than a lot of soccer. There seems to be some Christmas stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
He opens the window and he's like, "Oh, what day is it today, child?" And the child's like, "Oh, it's Christmas morn." So they apparently do a Christmas story.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
He becomes Scrooge.
I'm glad they kind of did a bunch of soccer because we know the show isn't necessarily about soccer. I don't think season 2 is going to be heavily soccer focused, I would imagine. But in a trailer, I like that they're not throwing away or using a lot of their good jokes or whatever. They're hopefully saving that for the actual episodes.
Sure. Well, my takeaway from it is I know nothing more about season 2 than I did not watching the trailer.
Yep.
And I am very interested in starting the next leg of our journey. I think it's only 10 episodes. It's 10 episodes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the next time you guys hear us, we will be talking about season 2, episode 1 of Ted Lasso. Thank you for letting us go through some of our favorite parts of season 1. Thank you for listening through season 1. Please post your scores once again on the government website that you're allowed to, whatever government website you're allowed to Twitter at. please send them. No context, just send them the numbers of your score.
Yep, and yeah, like I said, it's been an absolute blast doing season 1. Can't wait for season 2. It's been such a fun show. So thank you again for bringing me along on this journey. I do want to give a quick shout out to one of our listeners, Carrie, who sent us an email with some feedback on some of our conversations. We really appreciate it that you guys are listening and interacting with us. It's a lot of fun. So thanks again, and we'll see you during season 2.
I've been Julian.
And I've been Tom of Team Binge.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.